Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell the truth about silver. Today is Saturday the 24th of June 2023. We're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 23rd of June. Gold and particularly silver were hit hard last week. Why? Let's take a look. Okay, first, just a quick reminder that we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, where we have over 100 videos and we're producing around 5 a week, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in both the description box and comments section below. Meanwhile, going back to what happened last week and what we expect to happen this coming week, gold fell $37, falling from $1,958 to $1,921, having hit a high of 1962 and a low of 1,910, a fall of 1.9%. In sterling terms, gold finished the week at £1,513, down £15, and in euros it closed at €1,765, that's down €27. Silver fell more harshly. It fell $1.77, falling from $24.21 and ending up at $22.44. It did hit a high of $24.23 and a low of $22.13. That's a huge fall of 7.3%. In sterling terms, it closed at £17.68. That's down £1.22. And in euros, it closed at 20.64 euros. That's down 1.53 euros. The gold to silver ratio rose quite significantly from 80.8 to 1 to 85.6 to 1. I'm certainly looking at silver now because whilst, and I'll comment on this later, I suspect it will fall further, it's starting to become attractive again from an acquisition point of view. Now, the difference between gold's high and low was $52, a little higher than the previous week's $45, and the difference between silver's high and low was $2.10, compared with the previous week's $1.47. Now, this is what we said last week concerning our forecast. Silver, since the end of May, has performed better than gold in percentage terms, but prior to that performed worse. Some analysts are trying to make big of this, but with rates still likely to rise and the global economy being in doubt, we suspect silver could be under pressure even compared with gold for the next few months. We expect gold to trade between 1,900 and 2,000, which it did comfortably, and we forecast silver to trade between 23, 25 and 25, with 22.50 and 26 as outliers. Well, that was a little bit too optimistic in that silver closed just marginally below the bottom of our outlier range. You see, our forecast held up well until late on Thursday, and then silver just continued its descent, pushing it just below that 22.50 level. Now, before we discuss what happened to both gold and silver, let's look at other financials. Bitcoin, actually all the major cryptocurrencies did well last week. That stands at $30,638, up $4,287, its largest weekly rise for some considerable time. Equities were lower though. Dow Jones was down 572 points, the S&P was down 61, and the Nasdaq was down 197. The FTSE index closed at 7,461, and that was down 181 points. Which, bearing in mind the size of the index, is quite a large fall. Oils were lower, with Brent crude closing at $73.85, that's down $2.76, and WTI crude closing at $69.16, down $2.62. If we are really going to combat inflation, we need to see these oil figures much lower. The dollar index stands at 102.9, that's up 0.66 points on the week. Now, in terms of economic data announcements last week, there was relatively little announced. The jobless claims figures came in at the same level as the previous week at 264,000, and the flash PMIs were broadly in line with expectations. However, Jerome Powell's comments to committees of both houses of Congress did reveal a likelihood that the US may indeed see 2 further rate rises of 0.25% during the course of 2023. Some analysts fear 3 rises, and little chance of any reduction in rates until 2024, and certainly if even then. We suspect there will be then, but perhaps in the latter half. This coming week we have manufacturing PMIs on Monday, nothing on Tuesday as it's the 4th of July holiday. Happy holiday to all our US followers. Wednesday we have the ADP employment report, which will be watched closely as a guide to the full employment report due out on Friday, otherwise known as the non-farm payrolls. Although the FOMC will not be meeting again though until the 25th and 26th of July, these reports will be taken into account by analysts. So all eyes Wednesday and Friday. Let's now take a little closer look at gold and silver. Now last week we commented that gold is characterized at the moment as being in a consolidation phase and that the 100-day EMA is an important support level. Well, that support was broken, which stands at around $1,939. This level has now become resistance, and chartists will view this as negative for gold, and a downtrend is in place. There is support though at the 200-day EMA at 1895 and resistance at 1939, with greater resistance above that at 1959. Silver has fallen to an area closely watched by those using technical analysis to make their investment decisions, because the 61.8% Fibonacci level and the 200-week EMA sits close one to another and close to where we see silver currently sitting. If there is further downward pressure, we could indeed see silver fall back to $20, and especially if the job figures due this week and inflation figures due the following week are strong. There is no doubt what affected precious metals these past few days and causing such a decline has been a mixture of hawkish statements by the Federal Reserve, rate hikes by multiple central banks in Europe, not least being the 0.5% rise in the UK, and dollar strength. Surprising, bearing in mind that its competitor currencies have gone up and have had rates increased. We've produced videos on all of these factors on our Finances Do Matter channel, link below. So where do we see gold and silver moving next week? Well, it's a tough one really, particularly as the FOMC is now not meeting again for at least another 4 weeks, and we've already had the bad news from around Europe of higher rates. One could argue gold and silver could settle a little until more data is announced. However, we make a commitment each week to give a forecast, and so we're expecting gold really to trade between 1875 and 1975, with 1850 and 2000 as outliers. We'd be quite surprised though if gold comes anywhere near 2000. And we forecast silver to trade between $21.50 and $23.50, with $21 to $24 as outliers. And again, we'd be surprised if silver comes anywhere near 24. It's more than likely going to be in the lower half rather than the upper half in our view. What do you think? Do share your thoughts. Meanwhile, we'd appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up, you subscribe and press the bell sign. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, Finances Do Matter. Have a look at that channel, and we'll catch up with you soon.